Snow fell in quiet, gentle flakes as Daniel drove his old pickup down the empty road. Christmas Eve in his small town was usually filled with lights, laughter, and warm windows glowing behind frosted glass, but not for him. Since his wife died 3 years ago, it had just been him and his 7-year-old son, Noah. And tonight, he was returning from a double shift, exhausted, praying he'd make it home before Noah fell asleep waiting for him. But halfway down Birchwood Road, he slammed the brakes so hard the truck skidded. There on the side of the road, wrapped in nothing but a thin blue blanket, was a baby. A newborn crying softly, shaking from the cold. Daniel's heart stopped. "What in God's name?" he whispered as he leaped out of the truck. The snow was coming down harder. There were no cars, no footprints, nothing, as if the baby had appeared out of nowhere. He crouched down, hands trembling. "Hey, hey, little one." When the baby grabbed his thumb with tiny cold fingers, something inside Daniel broke. He scooped the child into his arms, pressing him to his chest for warmth. "Who left you here? How long have you been alone?" But there was no answer, only wind and the baby's thin, desperate cry. Without thinking, he rushed him into the truck, turned the heater to full blast, and wrapped him in his jacket. Noah, waiting at home, would understand. He always did. At the hospital, nurses rushed over as Daniel ran inside carrying the child. "He's freezing," a nurse gasped. Daniel handed him over reluctantly, like giving away a piece of himself. "I found him in the snow, alone." "Sir," said the doctor gently, "you may have saved his life." Daniel swallowed the lump in his throat. "Just tell me he's going to be okay." "He will be, but this baby must have been born hours ago." Hours ago, meaning he had been left almost right after birth. Daniel felt his stomach twist. "Someone threw him away," he whispered. Police arrived to question him, but it was quick. Daniel had no answers. He only had one question in his own mind. Who could abandon a newborn on Christmas Eve? When the officers left, the nurse approached Daniel. "The baby keeps crying unless he hears your voice," she said softly. "Can you stay a little longer?" Daniel sat beside the tiny crib, whispering stories about snowmen, Christmas lights, and how Noah used to fit in the crook of his arm the same way. Every time he spoke, the baby quieted. The nurses exchanged looks. "He's attached to you," one whispered. Daniel pretended he didn't hear, but his heart surged painfully. By morning, the hospital's social worker informed him. "No family has come forward, not a single call. If no one claims him, he'll go into temporary placement." Daniel's chest tightened. He knew what temporary placement meant, being passed from home to home, love to love, disappointment to disappointment. He had grown up in the system. He knew the loneliness too well. Before he could stop himself, he said, "Can I take him home, just until they find someone?" The social worker blinked. "You want to foster him?" "I'm a single dad. I know how to care for a baby, and I didn't find him to watch him become another forgotten file." She studied him for a long moment. "You're aware fostering requires a background check, home inspection, approval." Daniel nodded. "I'll do whatever it takes." Noah was waiting at the door when Daniel finally arrived, holding a baby carrier. "Dad, is that?" Daniel dropped to his knees. "Buddy, this is a baby I found in the snow. He doesn't have anyone. I'm going to help take care of him for a while." Noah's eyes filled with awe. "Can we keep him for Christmas?" Daniel smiled sadly. "For Christmas, yes." Noah leaned over and stroked the baby's cheek. "Hi, I'm Noah. You can be my brother if you want." Daniel's breath caught. "Brother." Days passed. Christmas morning, the baby, now named Hope by Noah, because he came from the snow and he's a miracle, lay sleeping between them as they opened presents. Daniel watched his son feed him, rock him, talk to him. and the baby watched Daniel like he belonged to him. The house that once felt emptier since Daniel's wife passed now felt full again. Warm. Alive. 2 weeks later, the social worker showed up again. "Mr. Reed, we haven't found the mother. Someone abandoned him intentionally. We need to discuss long-term placement." Daniel's heart pounded. He tried to sound calm. "What does that mean?" She looked at him kindly. "It means if you want, you can apply to adopt him." He froze. The room blurred. He remembered the freezing night, the tiny hand grabbing his thumb, Noah calling him brother. The way Hope stopped crying when he heard Daniel's voice. He whispered, "I don't know if I'm enough. I barely manage with one." "You're the only person this baby knows as family," she said softly. "And sometimes love is enough." Daniel looked at Noah, who was kissing Hope's forehead. And then he looked at the baby. Hope stared back with big, trusting eyes. "I found you for a reason," Daniel murmured. Then he looked up at the social worker. "I want him. I want to be his father." Months later, the adoption was finalized. In the courthouse hallway, Noah held his little brother while Daniel signed the papers with trembling hands. "You're ours now," Daniel whispered into the baby's hair. "You're home." And as they walked out into the spring sunlight, Daniel realized something. He thought he had saved a baby on Christmas Eve. But the truth was, that baby had saved him right back.